Hello. Today I thought I would put together a quick tutorial on how to lay out senior tribute ads. It is very much like fitting together a bunch of puzzle pieces, and I just wanted to walk you through the steps on Isabel Louise Charleston Senior Tribute. It is a half-size ad, and the first thing I want you to notice here as I zoom out is that I am when you first start your ad, if there are already pictures on it that have not been completely laid out. In other words, if you see the page already has colored boxes and has rounded corners around the pictures and where everything seems to be equally spaced, then those are finished ads and you do not touch those. But for Isabel's, hers is a little more random, and I just wanted to walk you all the way through the process. Basically, you can use these controls over on your left to zoom out. This gives you a bird's eye view of the whole spread. And I would highly recommend, if there are currently pictures on your spread, drag your mouse, capture them, and move them off of the spread. So they were right here when I began, but now I want to move them off to the side. Now, these were only placed as reference to show us that we indeed have the senior pictures and we have the tribute. So the first thing you'll do is, if there are currently unlaid out pictures on your spread, drag them off to the side of the storyboard. To zoom back out to normal size, you click this little icon next to those percentages. And at this point, you can see I'm going to get rid of this one. I have just put some placeholder boxes on the spread. Now, I did sort of in my mind, when I'm looking at the pictures that this family submitted, they're basically portrait mode with one landscape, one squarish dominant picture, and 4 portrait oriented pictures. That's going to be useful information when you're laying out your squares. But even if you get it wrong at this point, what I really want to demonstrate is placing the pictures and then juggling the spacing so that you can maximize what's happening on the spread as far as order and balance and equal spacing. All right, so there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 6 rectangles. So I'm just going to come over to Shapes, grab the rectangle tool. It will default and drop one on the middle. And I'm just dragging the corners so that it's roughly, not perfectly, I'm not worried about perfection yet. It's roughly lined up with the image below it. I have left a little space here for the text, and then we have one dominant picture, room for text, and room for 4 additional pictures. All right, once I drop those rectangles, I want to make sure they all have rounded corners, so that's when you come over here to, you may be in object view, you're going to want to scroll down to Effect in the right-hand menu, click on rounding and type in the number 15 and hit return. Now when I click off of this image, I'll zoom in for you. It now has rounded corners with the proper rounding. I'm going to zoom back out by clicking that rectangle, and we are good to go. I did verify when we were zoomed in that these are all rounded corners. All right, so the squares look good. Now I'm going to just move to the right and grab the text, which is up here on the storyboard. I'm going to use my select tool from the left-hand menu and drag that into this space. Now you may, obviously I had already started this design, so I sort of had a rough idea of how much space I wanted to leave for that text. Okay, so now comes the picture placement, and we are looking for Isabel Louise Charleston. The first place you look is the photo tray. Once you open the photo tray, you come over to Recommend to Spread, click on that. Anything blue is a hyperlink, and scroll down, and you are looking for Senior Tribute Isabella Louise Charleston. Now, if you don't find it here, there's one other place you want to look. This just means if she's not here, that means her parents uploaded the pictures themselves to Walsworth when they purchased the ad. In that case, if you do not see the Senior Tribute folder over in the Pictures folder, then you come over to the right-hand column. At the very bottom of your option menu, you see a link to online ads. You'll click on that. And we're looking for Isabel Charleston. And she is right there. So if I hover my mouse over that and click on that, you're going to see her name, the text tribute, which is already placed, and the images. So this is fairly simple matter. If the parents uploaded the pictures, then it's really, what I'm struggling with here at the bottom of my screen is I want to be able to drag the pictures into the proper box, but the menu is covering up half of Isabel's ad. So I'm going to click on Pan and move that over so I can see all the little boxes. And now it's a simple matter, especially on your little Chromebook screens. So I'm going to grab this more formal picture and drop it onto the largest rectangle. Now, when you drop it in, Walsworth does all the work. We will come back and tweak the spacing and the sizing. All you really need to worry about at this point is placing your rectangles. Now, we have some variables, but we'll talk about those variables after I go through and place everything. I'm going to drop this one here. There is no right, there is no wrong. I'm going to drop this one here. And it's just a process. It's not going to look perfect when you first drop them. That's what our later editing is for. Okay, what I am sort of looking at is this landscape image. So I know I have a landscape image. I'm going to, let's see. Walsworth is not a perfect system. So if you can't get back to where you were, just close out that box. And I think actually what happened on my Mac is that I accidentally zoomed in. I'm going to save so I don't lose my work. I might have to close out and open it back up again. Again, Walsworth is not a perfect system. It will routinely do unexpected minor annoyances, and we just sort of learn how to navigate and do our best around those. Okay, now that it has saved, I'm hoping it allows me to know. All right, so I'm really trying to move this spread. It's not letting me because I need that left-hand margin. Okay, so I have lost my left-hand margin. This is just a nuance, one of those idiosyncratic glitches in Walsworth. I'm going to close and reopen it. Page 200, go back into edit. And the thing I was trying to do was, since we have a landscape picture box, I'm going to take one of these rectangles and adjust that to a more landscape mode. Now this one I will move over. Now we're getting a little tight on space. So it's just, this is sort of what I'm asking you to do, is to be the person who comes in here and makes these minute adjustments so the spread works. Okay, now there will be a little bit of awkward space here, but that's okay. We're going to look at that in just a moment. I'm going back into those online ads so I can drag her picture over. I'm pulling this back over so I can see both of my picture boxes. And I have 2 more images to drop. Make sure you're on the right person, Isabel Charleston. And we've got this one, which is the more portrait mode. And we have this one, which is more landscape mode. Okay, I'm going to close this because you want to verify that you've placed all the pictures. They will have the word placed underneath them, and you can close out this little box. Now be really careful not to close out of your spread. You're just closing out the online ads section. All right, so at this point, we just need to get in here and balance the spread. Now I've broken my left menu again, so I'm going to go hit escape to make it standard size again. That's another workaround, and go back to full screen, and my menu bar will be back with us. Okay, for this section, you want to sort of zoom in to the section that, in this case, the half page that you're working on. So I'm grabbing the little magnifying glass. I'm clicking down on one corner and dragging a box around the half page. Now I want the tops of the ad below it. I want to be just on top of the ad below it. So I can see those images, but I'm not going to move any of those images. Okay, at this point, you want to worry primarily about, oops, let me redo that. You want to worry primarily about just making minor adjustments. Make sure you're on the select key. We know we need a box around her name. So you'll come down here to border, and you want to pick a color that's sort of prominent in this section. I'm actually going to go with the purple, which will echo the purple in her hair. And that's just going to drop a shadow around the box. Now we also want to center that text, so you come over to type and you click on center to center it. Now that box is a little bit too large for the space. So here we're going to tweak that and make it smaller so it's not overlapping any of the images. That makes the text disappear, so I need to come over here and excuse me, and downsize that text a little bit. So I'm going to go 30 instead of 32. Now this is a weird thing on the font. Bromello comes in italic or regular. You want to make sure you're on Bromello regular because that is what the font is. I'm going to drop a box around this in a slightly different way. I'm also going to fill the space and adjust the text size. If it allows me to go up 1 point size, I will. It may not. That's not actually very much room. In this case, because we have paragraph breaks, I'm just going to click on the text tool and separate those paragraphs into actual paragraphs. Now we've been justifying the signature line on the left if the spread is on the left-hand side of the 2-page spread, and on the right if it's on the right-hand side. So this one will be on the right. Please don't worry about that if that's overwhelming to you. Mostly what I'm attempting to do is give you practice in Walsworth so you can become much more confident at navigating the website. All right, now looking at the spread, I feel like these can be just a little bit bigger, so make sure you're on select. And I'm going to drag those corners just a bit. I do want all 4 of these pictures to run along evenly along the bottom. So I'm going to pick the one that looks lowest, click that first, click your shift key, click the other 2, hit layout, and align them along the bottom. Now, as long as you click the picture whose orientation you want to keep first, it will align the other pictures that you've selected with that original. So that's what I did there. While I have all 4 of those selected, I'm going to also ask it to space evenly between pictures. So that's what this little button here does. All right, so this is fairly laid out. I see a couple minor things. We've got, looks like these are relatively the same height. I'm going to make sure they're exactly the same height by clicking on one, looking at object, copying the height measurement with Control C, clicking on the other, and just replacing that with Control V. So we have exactly the same height dimensions, or we should. Let's see, 11.592, 11P 5.92, return. Oh, it's not wanting to do that. I don't know why. Okay, again, another little weird glitch. So I'm going to manually just bring it up a little bit so that to my eye, it is the same height as this other one. Now these 2 are a little more uneven, so I'm going to bring this one up to that height just by clicking shift. That way it won't change the dimensions of your rectangle. And that looks really close. Okay, but we have mucked up our spacing between. So again, I'm going to click each one, pressing down the shift key so it selects all, come into layout, click space evenly, and it will fix that spacing. Now, because I may have shifted some of the other orientations and alignments, I'm going to go ahead and realign the bottom. Okay, and we are going to call that pretty much perfect for the bottom row. And then we're going to select this picture here, and we can make it a little bit bigger. And we're trying to get that width closer to the width of this one. So there, I'm just going to check the object width. Object 10P 10.83. I'm going to copy 10P 10.19. P 10.83. All right, it is not changing those dimensions. I don't know why. Again, it might be Walsworth is full of little goofy errors. I'm just repositioning this text box a little bit to make it more centered. I'm also going to wrap a box around it. And then this spread is truly just about done. The one thing you want to be a little careful of is you don't want to have any of your stuff crossing over into that blue area. So I am going to click these 3 items and align left under the layout key. All right. It looks good with the exception of this box looks a little high now, given the fact that I'm going to wrap a box around it. It might be a little bit wide too by the time that box appears. So I'm just roughly centering it. And then I'm going to show you how to draw an outline. Basically, you come back over to shapes, you click your rectangle, that will give you a default. You want to go into that space and align the corners around the text as equally as you can. Now, you'll come over here to this little control box at the bottom of the left-hand menu bar. You'll click on Fill and click on the little no sign. That'll get rid of the gray fill that used to be in that box. And we'll click on Border, and I want the same purple. So the most recently used clips are right at the top of your color screen. I'm going to click that purple again and see how that looks. All right, so that purple box basically just keeps her stuff visually connected. I'm going to zoom out, and that is that. This spread is basically ready to proof for the editors. We also run these by the parents, so they have one final look at the tributes that they've paid for, and then we go to publish. Okay, let me know in class if you have any questions. Please don't wait until the end of class to answer your questions, to ask me questions. The expectation is if you were assigned a senior tribute, again, they should have been finished yesterday. I realize some of you had a little bit of trouble in Walsworth, and you will, I hope, benefit from this quick little video tutorial. Okay, but if you have any questions, interrupt one of the editors, interrupt a veteran, and everybody in the room should be bending over backwards to help you. If they're not, please let me know and we will sort that out. Thanks. Bye.